You're now watching Scud's 30th anniversary on Schrab home video, already in progress.
Mayor Vaughn, what we're dealing with here is a perfect eating machine, and that's why I think Daffy Duck sounds like Richard Dreyfuss with the lisp. Hey guys, how's it going? Eric Bauza here. If you're just joining us, we're back here at the Midnight Kid Studios via Rob Schrab's home video celebrating Scud's 30th anniversary. How's it going?
I'm doing good. This is quite an event.
This is happening. This is and it.
Can we cut wide? Look at everything.
Yeah. Let's give you guys a round of applause for putting this all together.
This is all.
This is
Savan and
incredible.
Aaron did all of this. This is fantastic.
And you did the balloons. You brought the balloons.
I drew the balloons. Yeah, I drew on the balloons. And the saddest thing is a lot of them are looking away. So it took me forever to do it, but yeah.
The balloons are shy.
The balloons.
So we'll be auctioning off each and every one of the Scud balloons after this broadcast.
So if you want a deflated, stinky breathed balloon with like some Sharpie on it.
If you want some DNA from Schrab, now's your chance to get it. Well, who do we have left on the roster today for guests? We've had a lot of people come in.
A lot of people come in. Hopefully a lot more if they don't wuss out.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's about time we bring up a close friend of yours and Kate's to the stage. A man only known as Stephen.
Stephen Reedy. Stephen Reedy here.
Happens to be a philosopher, a writer, a keeper, a hoarder of hard drives, I've heard.
Filmmaker, director, extraordinary, like, very talented director. Your shorts are absolutely brilliant. Your music videos, like you've done so many things with Kate, and they've always been like a highlight of her work. So thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Especially coming from Scud's dad. That's pretty cool. Because I'm a big Scud fan.
I know.
Which is why we're here. The premise, which we'll get to in a second, because I got some things to say about the premise. The premise was so clever and pure and endlessly fertile. Of the vending machine assassin with the mortally wounded enemy that he has to keep alive. The paradox of that was so cool. So I was in love with this thing, and we'll get to why I love it so much.
But you have a very interesting take on all media, filmmaking. You are a true artist. You kind of pick things apart, and you kind of love philosophizing. You're a philosopher for sure, and you love philosophizing on the mythology of why we like things. And is there anything that you could speak of to Scud about talk about my comic book, but I'm interested why you found Scud speaking to you.
Perfect question. So there's two major layers of why I think Scud grabbed me, and it seems to be the reason it grabbed everyone.
Layer number one,
aesthetics. I don't know, I want you to chime in on how did you design this character, but this character is so emotive, and there's this idea that when it comes to drawing, in a way, the more simple you are, the more emotion you get. Maybe all the focus is
it's a smiley face.
It's the smiley face.
And
then you can put the sad eyebrows on the smiley face, and it's so sad. Or you lower the eyes, it's extra sad. You don't have to do all this nuance. You could just be like, here's the one or two elements that say he's strong, or he's weak, or he's scared, or he's sad. And Scud has that.
Scud's head is supposed to be a cyanide capsule. It's because he's an assassin.
Right.
That's why he's split in half. And he's got one eye painted black because he's kind of taking aim.
The rifle thing.
Yeah, he's taking aim. And I learned that outline was kind of like a way to make him emote. If I tilted him forward, his eyes would separate, would give him kind of like a frown of some. And if I tilted him back, he would be more scared. And I never wanted to give him eyebrows. Definitely didn't want to give him a mouth. So I tried really hard to not make his eyes awooga or whatever, kind of bugging out. I mean, I probably did it a couple of times, but very rarely I did. But I wanted it to be very, very simple, because I felt like the simpler it is, it would be easier for somebody to draw it. If a fan would look at Scud and go, I could draw a rectangle with two ovals in it and color one black. And then boom, all right, now you've got this image. I mean, you put it on a balloon, and
the balloon's emotive now. We're surrounded by
which
balloons.
is something that I would say I didn't set out to do. It was a goal that I wanted to do, and was just reflective of what was everything else in the industry. I saw a lot of people doing like big muscular, like rippling muscle guys, so much detail, claws and everything. And I said, I want to do the opposite. What if I just did the opposite of everything is out there? If I did that, Scud would pop.
Well, and the color scheme is another thing. So there's also sort of the same thing that the McDonald's.
Seriously, McDonald's. I wanted, because when I came up with the name Scud, the disposable assassin, I was like, well, that sounds like a product, like a dish detergent or a scrub. And so I just kind of saw this kind of Tide logo, and so, well, if this is something that is being bought out of a vending machine, it's got to kind of have that kind of Coca-Cola.
Like a brand, it's branded, yeah. Before you continue the list of admiration, the layers, if you will, behind your love of Scud, we do have to take a quick break for Schrab home video. But however, when we return, we will continue with more Stephen Reedy.
We'll be right back with Scud the Disposable Assassin's 30th anniversary here on Schrab Home Video.
Since Scud the Disposable Assassin, one artist imagined, invented, discovered, and fantasized. In his exciting new book, Rob Schrab takes you inside his mind and outside his balls, showing us and his ex-girlfriends the nightmares, worlds, and bogans humans were never allowed to see. Pick up But I Can't Do Anything Else, The Art of Rob Schrab, on sale in your universe, April 6, 2011.
Schrab, and you're watching Inside Mac TV. I used to do a comic book called Scud the Disposable Assassin. Maybe you've heard of it. I did this book in the 90s for about 5 years, and we did 20 issues. And before I started doing screenplays like Monster House and television shows like Heat Vision and Jack and the Sarah Silverman program, I did this comic book, and when Hollywood came a-calling, I had to stop doing the book, and unfortunately I didn't get to do the final issue. So recently, as of January this year, I said I'm going to do the last book, and I'm on page 44, and let's take a look. This is page 44 of Scud the Disposable Assassin. I sketch it all out on grid paper, and I go in with my blue pencil, and I do a bunch of gesture drawings and just kind of flesh out and road map the entire page. And then I get my normal graphite pencil and I just sketch it all out and beef it all up and make it as tight as I can before I get sick of drawing in pencil. And then I take vellum. What's great and really fun about doing it on vellum is because it's thicker, you can scratch off things that you don't like, or you can make your lines really, it's almost like whittling. You can kind of whittle away, like, oh, I don't like this line, I want it to be thicker, so I can make it more defined by doing that. Oh, I don't like it that it crosses over here, so I'm going to just clean that up a little. You can do stuff like that too. So that's an inside to the page 44 of the final issue of Scud the Disposable Assassin, which will be coming out this summer from Image Comics. And if you want more details about Scud the Disposable Assassin, go to robschrab.com. I've got a Scud vlog where I show the entire making of, from the day I announced it was going to be done till when I'm finished with it. When I'm on my final line, be there for that. So take a look. There's also a preview of the cover, which looks badass, so check that out. I hope you take a look at Scud the Disposable Assassin this summer, and thanks for watching. I'm Rob Schrab.
All right, this is looking pretty good. I'm 18 years old. Getting my portfolio ready for art school. Okay, all done.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Schrab. Let's just have a look at your portfolio here. Okay. Oh, yeah, I like this. Oh, I like it. I like it. I like this. I like this one. Ooh, I like this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, I like it. 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 I like it.
I'll have the salmon sashimi.
His voice was like fucking deep, like earthquake. Yeah. Deep Roy.
You were the perfect Bugs Bunny.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to Scud's 30th anniversary, brought to you by Schrab Home Video. We're here with Mr. Stephen Reedy. Welcome back. You're continuing your list of the things that you love about
We're
Scud.
spelunking into the layers of why I like Scud, and maybe why everyone likes Scud.
We covered design. We covered the McDonald's connection.
Yeah.
And what is next on the list?
Yeah, well, then the next part of the aesthetics is he's able to pose so awesomely, and this is where this is Schrabification, I think.
Schrabification.
Here's how I imagine your brain:
Okay.
a Dr. Seuss machine that intakes like the history of media, especially nerd culture, immature ideas, and very mature ideas, and it comes out of this Dr. Seuss machine as your product.
That's very true.
Wizard Vigilante, Jetpacula, Tentacles,
Yep.
Scud, etc.
My goal is to be so stupid it's smart. Is that because I believe it everything comes around. It's like, just like it's an assassin bought out of a vending machine that will self-destruct after it terminates its target. I mean, it's so ridiculous that you kind of laugh at its absurdity, but then somebody like you would go, but what if he didn't self-destruct? And okay, where does that go? And that's the tease of the thing is like you set up the ordinary world is already crazy, but then at the end of that first issue is like, oh, it's gonna get really crazy.
I mean, obviously the action's super cool. It's like if John Woo could like just purge his best ideas into action scenes, I feel like that was articulated very cinematically too. Yeah. Not just the language of comic books, but there was distinctive like montages and sequences that just make loading a gun super cinematic. Like I felt like I heard the sound effects. You know what I mean?
I wanted you to hear the comic. I wanted it to be a noisy comic. I wanted you to hear. I wanted you to feel the comic.
So that we could call that the aesthetics and the cool poses and all that. Yeah. But then this Dr. Seuss machine fusion of ideas brings forth a really interesting logic. All of your ideas have it mixes logic of, say, werewolves. Yeah. Because my favorite part of all of it is the werewolf moon what do we call it, chapter of sorts.
Scud has he gets a loner human arm because his arm got cut off in the last issue. So while his arm is getting fixed, they give him a loner arm, which happens to be a human arm. And for an issue, he's fighting with these other like gangsters and stuff. But then the moon comes out and his arm turns into a werewolf's arm. So it's like, it's already crazy. And now it's going to get crazier. And then there's a whole arc where he goes hunting for the person who has his arm, because the person that has his arm, he has their arm. So whoever that he is going to meet, which happens to be on a space station.
And why is he on the space station, this werewolf character?
Because he wants to be the first werewolf on the moon. The whole lunar activation of lycanthropy and everything is like more than just wolves. Like he sets foot on the moon, and it just goes into overdrive, and he turns into a wolf, but then he turns into a monkey, and then he turns into a rat, and then he turns into a lizard, which turns into a frog, and then a fish, and a microcellular.
He becomes a god.
And he goes back to the beginning of time and becomes a black hole. And he is like, I'm going to swallow the moon. I'm going to eat he becomes a werehole. So it's a
werehole.
It's and it was something I just wanted to see. Is like that was also like it's a what I love what if sci-fi and horror. It's like what if a werewolf
were to set foot on the source of what it. Yeah.
That's a good way to put this weird fusion of logic and old and new ideas. The what if thing, and that leads me to one page of all of Scud that as I'm looking at it, I was so in awe that my brain like got bigger in that moment. It's like, this is what's possible, you know? And it was, okay, spoiler alert, if you haven't read this, you're 30 years late, but it's how does he get defeated? So how does werewolf astronaut? So basically, since he's essentially immortal, how do you kill an immortal thing? That was my memory of it. So they basically throw him into the void of space where he explodes. But because he's within radiance of the moon, which gives him immortality, he keeps reforming and exploding and reforming and exploding forever. And I think that's the coolest. It was the coolest death. It was just badass from like.
Well, it's just another thing. Is like, what if you kicked a werewolf into the vacuum of space? It would explode, but it wasn't silver.
Yeah, that sounds. You're like, hey, that was obviously, right? But so what blew my mind reading this is I hadn't seen that combining of logics, and it's old logic, werewolf logic that goes back who knows thousands of years.
Well, that was like
mixed with this new
that was
sensibility.
always the demand I put on myself is like we can't just do another werewolf episode. We have to set it in space. We can't just do gangsters versus zombie dinosaurs. They have to get into a giant Voltron robot and fight him that way. You know, it was always like, you know, Goodfellas meets Voltron. It's always like zombies that are dinosaurs.
The Dr. Seuss machine of fusing ideas. But I feel like there's even one final deeper layer to all of this, which is beyond these cool ideas of like werewolf fiction, it got actually into like deeper mythology, like religion stuff, and like these ancient ideas that have just carried through humanity forever, as long as we know. I mean, there's apocalypse stuff, there's angelic stuff, there's if I remember this correctly, there's a robot who's sort of a physical manifestation of the ego. The robot.
Yes, that is. Oh my gosh, I was about to say that.
I'm like, am I crazy?
No, that was the issue where Scud goes to a world where wars were not fought on the battlefield; they were fought in the movie theater. Like there were two countries, and they were basically both studios. And what they would do is that they would make these blockbusters and send them over to the rival enemy country and suck all the money out of it. So they wouldn't. So they would just. So there was like a movie wars,
cinematic proxy warfare.
Yeah, movie wars, and actually that's an interesting story because I was doing suggested voice talent at the time. I was like, oh, I'm going to cast Ron Silver because he's a perfect bad guy, perfect producer. He played a producer in the Mr. Saturday Night Billy Crystal movie. I go, this is perfect, and he's great, and this put it. And so when I met with Ben Stiller, and I said, and I dedicated, I believe, an issue to him. I said, here's this. And he opened it up and he looked at the suggested voice talent. He goes, Ron Silver, he's a friend of mine. He used to work on Rhoda with my mother. And so I kept that in the back of my head. And so when we were doing Heat Vision and Jack, I was like, because I was trying to sell this again. So I was like going, okay, because we met with Jack Black at that time and he was a big fan of $6 Million Man. Stiller was a big fan of old school Star Trek. Dan liked Knight Rider. I loved Doctor Who. And I said, let's just mix it, go through the Dr. Seuss machine and spit out the log line for Heat Vision and Jack. And Ron Silver was playing himself, chasing down Jack Austin. and so when that was in there, and that was a big thing that kind of helped sell it to Stiller, who like loved all of like these kind of like nods to all of our favorite stuff.
When you get into the deeper mythologies, like I think one of the cliffhangers was when we find out that there's an egg It's
Yeah.
like, wait, this villain came out of an egg,
Yeah.
and then we start uncovering this huge heavenly
Yeah.
mythology that's touching these big ideas of like the past thousands of years of Western myth and stuff. Like, where's that coming from?
The thing is like there's a little bit of retconning in it because we really, and when I say we, I mean myself. Like Jeff, the character, the monster in the basement of Marvin's Mannequins, there was a nest of eggs.
Mhm.
Now, originally, I was thinking that was her eggs.
Mhm.
And then later on, when we started talking about the whole rapture, the world is taking place during the rapture, we said, well, what if those eggs, it was also what if. We assume that those are her eggs, but what if they weren't? What if they were her siblings and she just happened to hatch first? And let's say that she's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And the reason that the world is like getting mutated is because Scud killed her siblings. And she's the last one left and put her on life support and kind of fucked up her mission. And so they have like this, yin and yang thing going on. But all of that was kind of forming out of itself. And I love like the concept of talking about mythology and religions and gods and things and origins of stuff and picking it apart and paying homage to it, but also criticizing it. There's a lot of pretty heavy-handed anti-Christian stuff in the book, but it was just kind of like me being rebellious. But
Did you grow up like with any religion in the family?
yeah,
Were you-
hardcore, Christian stuff like
Yeah.
that. And it was just like Scud was my diary,
Mhm.
like I was just anything that I was emoting, I was like going, let's just put it on the page.
Yeah.
Because if I'm feeling this way, there's got to be at least 5 people out there that feel the same way. I can't be that special. It turns out that there were a lot more than 5. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but like a lot of that religion stuff was naturally going that way. And then so like in issue 20, when they end up in heaven,
Mhm.
it was like, well, I think Dan was like the one who said, they got to go to heaven. They got to go to heaven soon, right? I mean, that's where we're leading, right? And I was like, yeah. Back then, it was a really special time, which I wish I enjoyed a lot more than I did.
Do you remember that moment when you're like, I thought of Scud, I'm going to do it?
Okay. I'm going to back up. I'm going to tell you like how it really, really happened. Okay, so
The Scud origin. Do you wanna take a quick break and start fresh?
Let's take a break because my
Let's take a quick break.
voice is shot.
We'll be right back with more Stephen Reedy, Rob Schrab, and Scud's 30th anniversary here on Schrab Home Video.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much.
You're now watching Scud's 30th anniversary on Schrab Home Video, already in progress.
And we're back, guys, with Scud's 30th anniversary here on Schrab Home Video. Still on the couch, Mr. Stephen Reedy, Mr. Rob Schrab, the creator of Scud. We were just about to talk about how you really the point, the origin point. Like, this is it.
Because whatever this moment is reverberates into history.
I believe that everybody has like turning points like multiple times a day. It's just choosing to grab on to like the train and get pulled along with it. When I was in high school, I would draw a comic book, but I would always kind of get to page 5 and go, this is boring, I don't want to do it. Because most of the time, it was all set up. It was like, oh, in a world where, you know, the alligators were mutated, and then they became cyborgs, and then, oh, what if some anime influence came in? I was like, I just want to draw the action, but I feel like I have to set up the character for so much with origin and whatever, and I would get bored of it. And so I had in my head, it's like, oh, I want to do something where it was just like, oh, the guy comes out of the box and fights a monster. And so I had the idea, like originally, like Scud was supposed to have like a slot in his head that he was just going to sit on the street corner and he'd put a quarter in his forehead and then he would go and do it. But I was like, I think I need a TARDIS. I need a police box. And that's where the vending machine came from. And so I had this idea in my head, and I was like kind of maybe doing little doodles and things like that when I was working at Comedy Sports in Milwaukee, and that's where I met Dan and everybody. I was actually drawing sketches like when I was off stage on the wings, like just drawing stuff. We were done with the show, and my future partner, Peter Alberts, met a guy, Marlo Newman, who came up to him and said, "Hey, you guys are really hilarious. This is what you do?" And go, "Yeah, this is what we do. This is our dream. We're living our dream." And Peter said to him, like, "Well, what do you do?" And he goes, "Oh, I print comic books." And he was like, "You got to meet Rob." Brought me over to meet Marlo, and he said, "Do you make comic books?" He says, "I'm trying to. I'd love to do a comic book because I wanted to be a comic book artist." And so he said, "Well, I'm going to be out of town, but in a month, stop by, and I'll show you the ropes. I'll tell you how to do it." And I was like, "Okay, I've got like a month to come up with a comic book."
And you're like 22 at this point?
I was like 23, just turned 23. Just started drawing it, you know, like part of it was also a girl broke up with me and I wanted to prove to her that I was a good person, that I wasn't a loser. And I also was like thinking like, oh, I'll really impress her when I go, "Here's a comic book that I made, and look, its heart is broken." And like, guess who was responsible for this?
I hope she's watching this right now.
She has no idea who she is. And I actually think that without the heartbreak, I don't know if I would have pushed myself to do it. But so I did the comic book, I finished it, I did the Xerox package of it, just Xerox, and I showed it to Marlo. And he goes, This is kind of fun. Okay, this is what you do. He printed up like Spider-Man comic books and Incredible Hulk comics. And remember back in the 90s when like they did like hologram.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hologram covers. His company specialized in that. So everybody like Image and Marvel and DC went to him. He says, "This is what we do." Okay, so we get an order for 100,000 Spider-Man, you know, but there's a roll that could print up, you know, maybe 100 more books. Instead of throwing that paper away, we'll just sneak yours in.
Nice.
And print your book.
Okay.
And this is what you do. You go to Bud Plant, you go to Diamond Comics, you put an advertisement in there. These are catalogs that would go to comic book stores and they'll go, "Oh, I'll take a little bit of this, I'll take a little bit of that, I'll take a little bit of this." And my $3,000 that I had made off of greeting cards, I bought like a full page, Scud the Disposable Assassin. And then you just got the page, and again, you page through everything. Everything is very gnarly and dark and gothic looking and angry. And then you flip a page, and then there's the kid, you know, bright and very simple. And we stuck out. And we got an order for 3,000 books, that first issue. And I told Marlo, I go, "Oh, we got an order for 3,000. He goes, "Oh." Because he's used to selling Spider-Man and the Hulk and stuff. He's selling hundreds of thousands of money. And so I was like, "Oh, shit, this is a disaster. This is going to be so embarrassing." And the book came out, and we did a bunch of conventions, and it wasn't until like, you know, issue 5 or 6, maybe even 7, where I started talking with other artists, and we're like, where we would have dinner after the con, and we're going having Thai food, and like, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, I like this. Oh, did you read Cerebus? Oh," and then the subject came up. "Well, how much did your first issue sold?" And like we went around the table, and I said, "I sold like 200, and it's 550 or whatever." And it comes to me, and I'm like, "God, I'm a fucking asshole." I'm so glad I didn't go first, because I said 3,000, and they're like, "What? 3,000?" And I was like, "I didn't know. I thought that was a low number." And they go, "No, it's not. That's for a first book. That's
that
really
no one's
huge.
ever heard of. This is it. This is."
So that's another thing that I really never. I always felt like Scud was like not doing well, like throughout the entire run. I was like, nope, because it was before the internet, before social media. I really wasn't getting, other than like handwritten letters, I wasn't getting a lot of response. I was like, well, if it's popular, how come I'm not rich? How come I'm struggling to pay the bills? But it made an impact. I mean, you're from where? Are you from out here?
No, I'm from the Bay Area, so the San Francisco area.
Okay, so I was in Milwaukee, and you were looking at it in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And back then, that was a big fucking deal.
The internet was barely existent at the time. It was dial-up.
Yeah, it's like we go, oh, if I want to like do a drawing, I can put it up on my Instagram right now and have the world see it. Back then, if you wanted the world to see it, I mean, the most you could hope for is pinning it up on a cork board.
In my case, and in many people's cases, it's word of mouth. Like, dude, you like this? You'd love Scud. Borrow mine. You know, just give it back. You know.
Well, the other thing, you talk about the Dr. Seuss like meatball machine that goes on in my head, where, you know, and I always was like, how come I don't have a line as long as Bill Tucci? Or how come, you know, like, oh, I see a lot of milk and cheese t-shirts, not a lot of Scud or whatever. How come Johnny the Homicidal Maniac has got Invader Zim and I don't have an animated... I always had like this kind of, and I think our industry kind of, unfortunately, this happens where you have like a little envy of everything. You kind of like comparison careers and stuff. And I would get myself down a lot about this. Like, why aren't we doing better? How come this isn't being, I'm working so hard. We got a video game, an action figure. How come this isn't happening? And Kate, my lovely wife, said something to me so profound. Like when we first started dating, she's like going, everything you love is cult. Look at all of your movies that you watch. Look at every book. Look at every show you watch. These are not big shows. These are tiny shows that are beloved by a small group of people. Of course you're going to do a cult comic book. You're not going to be Spider-Man. You don't want to be Spider-Man. You don't read Spider-Man. And I was like, you know, you're right. It's pretty cool.
Well, now that it has, Scud has had 3 decades to spread into people's hearts and minds, is there an opportunity to throw more merch out there? I don't know the legality or who owns it or anything like that.
I mean, like I'm in a situation right now where whatever I would make off of it, I would split half of it with somebody else, which doesn't feel like a smart business decision right now, especially when I've got people asking me to, what's your next thing? And there's a huge group of people that I work with right now that don't even know about Scud. They only know me. So,
well, Scud was in Community for a cameo.
True, because of me. I forced that in. And like Dan came down and looked at like a scene. He goes, "You son of a bitch! Why you put Scud in there?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, man."
By you making this, a 23-year-old you, taking this risk and making something that's super cult and niche and your type of thing, which, by the way, nowadays we have more exposure to weird stuff, but back then there was nothing like this. This is all there was, you know what I mean? So that makes it extra special that it popped out when it did. Now, through the trials and tribulations of your career and Dan's career, what I see is it led towards, you know, some movies like Monster House and stuff, but it led to Channel 101.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was an incubator for a lot of cultural influences of the modern day, creators of all kinds. Yeah. And then you guys are doing Rick and Morty, which is a cultural force. And then I'm sure whatever you do next will also like have this momentum and creativity, pushing it even further. Yeah, so that moment, it's really interesting from an outsider's perspective to go like, oh, 23-year-old dude, not near any epicenter of media, actually kicked off like butterfly effect. Like the flap of a butterfly wing is now actually like this big force of weather in our culture in multiple ways. And that's interesting. That's crazy to me.
That's very sweet of you to say.
Yeah. So
30 years later.
Thank you. I'm always a huge fan of yours. I love You're a great friend. Love you so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Even Reedy. And we'll be back right after this with more of Scud's 30th on Schrab Home Video.